Okay, so tonight I'm going to talk about this Kilchoman. This is the Machir Bay. It is a peated scotch from Islay, which are some of my favorite. And what I mean by peated, for those that aren't real familiar, not a lot of trees in Scotland. So what they do is they go get they go into the bogs and they cut bricks of peat. And what that is just organic material that's decayed into soil, a real dense soil, over thousands and thousands of years. And so what they do is they cut that into bricks and let it dry, and then they burn that as a fuel source, like coal. Well, when they malt the barley with that process, they have to wet it down, let it start to germinate. Well, then they have to dry it out. So they use the heat and smoke off the peat bricks. That's what filters through and dries out the malt. And so what it does is you get this earthy, sometimes medicinal, smoky flavor. And that's what a lot of people associate with Scotch. That's the first thing they think of. Not every Scotch tastes like that. And it can be off-putting if you're not used to it. In some cases, it's an acquired taste, but it's also, in my case, I took right to it. I really like it. Sometimes you get a medicinal iodine. Sometimes you get this salty seaweed. Honestly, it depends on a lot where they get their peat from, but where the distillery sits, because Islay is an island off the coast of Scotland. It is one of the 5 recognized legal regions of Scotland for their whiskey. The other 4 being the Highlands, the Lowlands, Speyside, and Campbelltown. The Highlands is the largest, and there are some islands that are on the north end. They are legally considered Highland, even though they have their own kind of distinct flavors. They're not recognized as their own region. Speyside is it's a sub-region of the Highlands. So if a distillery is in the Speyside region, they can legally call themselves a Highland Scotch. But you have to be in that Speyside region to be considered a Speyside. Anyway, I'm getting down a rabbit hole, which is very easy for me to do in this stuff. But this Kilchoman, they are a fairly new distillery. I forget what year they started, but it's been, I'm wanting to say like 2012 is when they started up. This is non-age stated, non-chill filtered, and you can see it's light. It's probably in the 5, 6, 8 year region. Ooh, that's nice. This one is the blends that they use, they finish 90% of it in ex-bourbon casks and 10% in PX sherry casks. And as you can see, I've sampled it out a little bit, but I've had a couple pours myself. It's really good. On that, obviously you get the peat. On this one, you get a little bit. The iodine is very subtle. But it's smoky. It's almost like think like sitting next to a campfire right at the edge of the ocean. And then on the palate, it's very smoky. The peat, the medicinal iodine dies down. The nose on this is really punchy, but it's very subtle on the palate. It's a little salty, a little smoky. I can see the bourbon influence on it. It's funny because before, used to, I couldn't pick that out. I just taste good and gooder and whatever. But as I do these videos, I'm starting to develop where I can pick more out. Now, I wouldn't know what sherry tastes like. I've never had it. But there is a slight sweetness to this. Hang on. And it's one that the more I sip on it, the more I get. Slightly fruity. I get kind of, on a lot of scotch, I get kind of this, like a stewed peaches and pear blend. Just a light fruity note. And I get that in this. Some peated scotches I don't, because they're just so punchy with that peat. But this has got like a light fruitiness to it. And that may be that sherry note coming through. This is, let's see, it's 92 proof. So a little higher than a lot of your scotches for not being a cask strength. I bought this on a whim. I've had their Sonag, I think that's how you say it. I've had a sample of that, and it is really, really good. But I want to find it in the cask strength, because I think that's what the sample I had was. And around here, all I can find is just the standard offering. So I just went ahead and bought this, and I'm really glad I did. Yeah, and the more I sip on it, even that smokiness is dying down and giving way to like this, almost like a fruit with like a honey caramel drizzle. So it's really, really good. And it's gotten better as it's opened up. Yeah. The more I sip, all that peaty smoke dies down, and it just brings out a lot. There's a lot more flavors that are coming out on it. So if you're curious about getting into scotch, I highly recommend, well, anything from Kilchoman, but especially this one. Anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed.